네, 잠시 후 3시부터 한국-싱가포르 핀테크 온라인 세미나를 시작하겠습니다. 네, hello and good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, online audience from Korea and Singapore and overseas. We'll shortly start Singapore-Korea FinTech Online Seminar at 3 p.m. Okay, now let's begin Singapore-Korea FinTech Online Seminar. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Song Jin-sung from FinTech Center Korea. Thank you all for your joining today's seminar. Let us start by today's seminar with let me just briefly introduce today's seminar. Seminar will be about 1.5 hours. The program will begin by opening remarks by Chairman of FinTech Center Korea and congratulatory remarks by co-founder of Plug and Play and presentation by Director Plug and Play and fireside chat dealing about digital transformation and two pitching by Korean companies, Bomap and Tobicom. And if any have an inquiries Q&A session, we will have at the end of the session. Due to the time constraint, pre-inquiries and online inquiries and online chat inquiries will be on Q&A session. Now, please welcome Chairman of FinTech Center Korea. Chairman Yu Shin-jung leads the FinTech Center Korea and the professor of Seoul University. He has an extensive experience in FinTech and finance industry. Please welcome Chairman Yu Shin-jung for his opening remarks. 이사님, 음소음이 안 돼요.
Sorry. Jojo, Chairman. Good afternoon. My name is Yu Shin-jung, Chairman of FinTech Center Korea. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude to the Plug and Play official who take time to co-organize ecosystem of Singapore and Korea FinTech industry. Thank you to Joim Flores, co-founder of Plug and Play, who would address welcome remarks. Kevin Dela, director of Plug and Play, who will introduce FinTech startup trends and Singapore startups. And Myung-soo Song, managing director of Plug and Play. Also, I would like to thank John Bang and Kevin Angelini from Zurich Insurance and Baihabi Meta for giving their insights about the digital transformation of a global financial institution in the fireside chat session. Also, there are speakers from the Korean side. I would like to express warm regards to Jo Jun-hui, manager of Bomap, who will present Bomap's insurance innovation, and also Hae Jung-baek, director of Tobicom, who will introduce Tobicom's InsurTech service. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants from Singapore and Korea for enjoying this webinar. Nowadays, there are negative views on the global economy, which will go through a difficulty and uncertainty period in the second half of this year. Due to the, prolonged COVID-19 crisis. Although there is a considerable sense of the crisis throughout the industry, however, digital related in the industries, particularly FinTech, which is well known as digital and untapped finance, is growing faster than any other industry and is believed to be leading the fourth industrial revolution in the financial industry. In order to respond to this fast change, mutual cooperation, especially using digital technologies between countries, is very necessary. Singapore and Korea are working together in various ways for the shared growth of FinTech industry. Particularly in last year, the Financial Services Commission, Korea, and FinTech Center Korea jointly participated in the Singapore FinTech Festival, which has been organized annually by Monetary Authority of Singapore. Korean organizations joined a booth as a Korean policy regulator and completed more than 200 FinTech consultations. So then we hope this webinar will promote FinTech exchange and will enhance each of global competitiveness between not just Singapore and Korea, but with other Asian countries. In Korea, the data-related three acts were passed by National Assembly in January of this year. and the data economy era has begun. As the new era starts, the market consensus agrees that financial industry is undergoing the transformation very fastly, and the market sees the Korea data exchange and the My Data business as examples of the change. Especially not just financial institution and fintech, but also big tech with IT platform entering My Data business in Korea. Therefore, we expect many technology converges in the financial industry with the data of AI, blockchain, security, and so on. In order to meet these very rapid environmental change, Fintech Center Korea under the Financial Services Commission Korea does various efforts to support digital transformation and to boost fintech ecosystem in financial industry. In addition, Fintech Center Korea has organized Fintech Center Week 2020 this year and opened the expo from the end of last year, May. We have successfully achieved over 170,000 online visitors and over 1.1 million pages view in a month. Once again, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Plug and Play, Jury Insurance, and other fintech-related personnel and companies for joining this webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, for delivering opening remarks and great support to fintech industry in Korea and abroad. Now, please welcome PNP co-founder Jojo Flores for his congratulatory remarks. He is a co-founder of Plug and Play Tech Center, a Silicon Valley-based technology startup accelerator, which started in January 2006. Plug and Play Ventures over has 1,000 companies in its portfolio, with 11 unicorns, including PayPal, Dropbox, Lending Club, and others. Jojo serves as a board member and vice president in the Science and Technology Advisory Council to the Philippine government. Please welcome Jojo, co-founder of Plug and Play.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
A very pleasant good afternoon to all of you. Warm greetings from Manila. I hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy in light of this worldwide pandemic we're all facing. Thank you for having me in this special event organized by the Fintech Center of Korea under the leadership of Mr. Yu Shin-jung. I am honored with your invitation to open this occasion. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in person very soon. Plug and Play's mission is to create the ultimate platform whereby the best minds and ideas can collaborate and accelerate innovation throughout the entire world. As such, we aim to bring together the best technology startups and companies together, accelerating over 1,500 startups per year in over 15 industry verticals, including financial services, and introducing them to over 400 conglomerates worldwide. In the last 10 years, we've been able to grow this global network to close to 20 countries in over 30 cities so far. Korea is the 10th largest economy in the world. We are already present in the top 8. We hope to open India during this quarter, and we are excited to establish our office in Seoul by the first quarter of 2021. Congratulations to Mr. Yu Shin-jung and his team at Fintech Center of Korea. Plug and Play looks forward to collaborating with all of you in creating the most scalable and sustainable ecosystem, which involves the startups, corporations, universities, and government. Similar to Japan, Singapore, Europe, and Silicon Valley, where we run our financial services acceleration programs, our goal in Korea is to invest in 5 to 10 of the best fintech and insurtech startups per year. Hopefully, we will see in the next 5 to 10 years the same success stories as PayPal, Lending Club, Hippo, and N26. Here in Southeast Asia, we've invested close to 50 startups so far, and roughly about 25% of these investments are in the financial services space. If we're lucky, maybe we can be part of the next TOS and BOMAP in Korea. One formula of success we have at Plug and Play is collaboration by leveraging on our global network. Utilizing this global presence, we are able to bring great value to our portfolio and network of startups by giving them heightened access to markets outside of Korea, not only in the rest of Asia, but also in the Americas and Europe. We at Plug and Play firmly believe in open innovation. We believe that for an idea and product to be great, it has to be available to everyone, everywhere. If not, then it remains to be just an invention that benefits no one. This is what we think is the true spirit of innovation. This is the primary reason why we invite the largest conglomerates to join our platform and ecosystem. In Japan, for example, Plug and Play partnered with Mitsubishi, Sumitomo, Mitsui, Resona, Nisei, Sompo, Daiichi, among others. In Singapore, we partnered with MSIG, Tokyo Marine, AsiaPay, Cathay Financial, Swiss Re, Aflac, among others. In Korea, KB Financial Group, Shinhin Bank, and Samsung Fire Insurance are our first financial service partners. We wish to have more partners in Korea and would like to invite other banks and insurance companies to join us in this platform and innovation journey. Finance and insurance remain to be one of the most exciting and fastest growing areas in global business today. Companies that employ newly developed digital and online technologies in the banking and financial service industries, how it is used, and how its impact on consumers is very complex. In fact, in a relatively short period of time, the emergence of new generation of technologies has greatly impacted how we do business, engage with our customers, and think about the future of financial services. We now face technological advancements in IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, and cloud computing, to name a few. Keeping pace with changing consumer behaviors of Gen X, Y, and Z is becoming challenging for existing financial systems and models. Barriers to entry have lowered, and new agile competitors are disrupting traditional institutions. And more than ever, there is greater access to information to discover trends and opportunities never seen before. I'd like to think that the value of Plug and Play puts on the table is its unique ability to filter through all of these technologies and trends and make them available in our platform for our ecosystem to see. We're able to see global market gaps and opportunities coming from our corporate partners globally, and then use these information to search for the best startups and technologies that address these pain points and opportunities. For the financial services sector, we search for technologies in behavior biometrics, for example, data crawling, KYC, financing application processes, natural language processing, AR and VR, data security, gamification, among others. All these so that our corporate partners can increase revenue, decrease costs, as well adding new relevant products and increasing customer acquisition and retention in this growing contactless world. In conclusion, while advancements in technologies have been happening at an unbelievable speed, I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg of what is possible and likely to happen in the next few years. It is no exaggeration to say that technology and innovation are literally changing our lives and habits. To say the least, the future looks very, very exciting. We very much look forward to working with all of you in Korea as we embark on this innovation journey. Again, in behalf of Plug and Play, my sincerest congratulations to Mr. Yu Shin Jung Congratulations to the team of FinTech Center of Korea for putting this event together. Enjoy the rest of the program. 축하합니다.
Thank you, Chairman and co-founder of Plug and Play, for your insightful congratulatory remarks. Now, let us start with the first presentation titled FinTech Startup Trend and Introduction of Hot Startups in Singapore Market by Kayvon Deldar. He is a PMP Singapore Director. Kayvon, you may start your program.
Great. I'm going to go to full screen at this point. Can you guys see the full screen, or is it still on the presentation mode?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to try changing the slide and see if you can see it. Did you guys see the slides change?
Yes,
no?
It changes.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to meet everyone. Thank you so much for the FinTech Center of Korea for hosting this event, and thank you for the FinTech Center of Korea and Jojo's opening remarks. I hope I can impart some of the trends that we're seeing in financial services out of our office here in Singapore. As a brief introduction to myself, I'm Kayvon Deldar. I'm the director of the Insurtech and FinTech innovation platform here in Singapore that's servicing all of Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and India, based from our regional headquarters here in Singapore. And just to give you an overview of the trends report that I want to give to you today, at the beginning, I'll talk a bit more about what Plug and Play does globally as well as regionally in financial services. And then based off of this platform that we've built, we have a few insights into the key problem statements and some example startups that are pretty indicative of where the future is heading, at least in the region and from our perspective. So it's my pleasure to be sharing that with you guys today. And feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A box, and I'd be happy to address them. As Jojo mentioned, Plug and Play's goal is to help the world progress through innovation and connection. Plug and Play does that in three core ways. One is through venture capital, which, as Jojo mentioned, we've invested in leading companies like N26, Hippo, and a few others, including Dropbox and Lending Club. And we invest in over 200 companies every year. We still do this across the world, primarily in Silicon Valley, but we have investments in Southeast Asia, Europe, and our other offices as well. About 7 years ago, we started doing corporate innovation to work with the world's largest financial institutions or across a number of other industry verticals. We work in 18 industries today to help them understand what their internal challenges are, and if there are specific startup partners across the world that could be good partners for them to enhance their innovation, both internally and externally. And to facilitate this, we have 3-month-long accelerator programs across the world. So the team that I lead in Singapore runs 2 FinTech and 2 InsurTech programs every year, where we take problem statements from our corporate partners, which I'll discuss a little bit later, and then help connect them with not only startups based in Singapore and Southeast Asia, but actually startups based all around the world that would be relevant and applicable to their business challenges. As I mentioned, we are a venture capital firm. Here are just 4 of the companies that last year became unicorns. Even some of the companies like Hippo have raised additional funding even during this pandemic year, which is quite exciting. And a lot of these companies that have been very successful through our portfolio, including Lending Club, as well as PayPal, and now you can see N26 and Hippo come from our financial services practice. So we're really excited about this space, and we're hoping that the few investments we've made in Singapore so far can have similar growth. At a very high level, we have probably the world's largest innovation platform on the corporate side for both InsurTech and FinTech. To talk a very high level, we work with over 80 insurance companies across the world from different aspects of the value chain, including carriers, like these would be companies like Zurich and Allianz that are our partners. From the broker side, we work with all 3 major brokers around the world and many others. We work with consulting companies such as Deloitte and even services providers like Guidewire, and of course the reinsurance companies who are very active in the space like Hanover, Munich Re, Swiss Re, and SCOR. On the fintech side, we work with a number of partners, including BNP Paribas, ING, MUFG, and a lot of the world's leading banks and financial institutions. We do work with payments companies, lending companies, as well as some asset management companies as well. So you can see the breadth of the different partners that we work with, and they each come with their own unique business challenges, and Plug and Play kind of gets to sit at this nexus where we get to hear from industry leaders on the corporate side what their challenges are. And then from there, we can actually start to aggregate trends as we see that multiple problem statements would be aligning from a lot of the partners. And then we kind of create an accelerator program based off of these problem statements to connect them with the worldwide network of startups that we have. To talk a bit more about what we've done for FinTech and InsurTech in Singapore, we started in 2018. I myself, I don't know if you can tell from the accent, but I'm American. I was based in our US headquarter office in California before I moved to Singapore about 2 years ago, because we felt like there was a huge opportunity for us to build a innovation platform for financial services based in Singapore, but also servicing the broader Southeast Asia, ANZ, and India regions, which we hadn't really penetrated so far as Plug and Play. And as we heard from the opening remarks, my very first trip to Singapore was during FinTech Festival. For those of you that have been, it's like a huge conference that lasts about a week long. And there are many speakers that are flying in from all around the world, and there's just a lot of excitement. So Singapore was already this very big financial hub, starting from about 2015 to 2016. And then we decided to try to enhance that by bringing in our global network in 2018. So far, we've run 5 InsurTech and 5 FinTech accelerator programs. They're still currently running today. We've accelerated 122 startups. We just launched a health platform that's kind of branched off from our InsurTech platform about a couple of months ago. We work with 13 corporate partners, which I'll go over in the upcoming slides. And then we have made 5 investments so far from our program in financial services. And a few of those startups I'll be discussing with you guys today during the trends presentation. Just a deeper dive into some of the corporate partners that we work with. These are the companies that are giving the trends that I'll be talking about in the upcoming slides. We kicked off our InsurTech program with MSIG a couple of years ago. We started adding other insurance companies like Cathay Financial, Tokyo Marine, Sequis Life out of Indonesia, Willis Towers Watson. And then we actually attracted, because health tech was such a big focus for our InsurTech platform, in Southeast Asia, we actually garnered the interest of some pharmaceutical companies and have recently spun off a health accelerator program with Roche and Sanofi in August of this year. On the fintech side of things, we're really excited to work with the lending companies, banks, and payments companies that you see on the right-hand side, including Krungthai Bank out of Thailand, Astra Financial Group out of Indonesia, TVS Credit out of India, and AsiaPay out of Hong Kong, which services many countries around Southeast Asia and even globally. So the trends and the focus areas I'll be talking about are largely derived from our relationship and our experience of working with these companies that you see here. So to go into the trends that we're seeing, at a very high level, when we're talking about our fintech startup focus areas, we definitely look beyond these 5 focus areas that you see here, but these are certainly very big focus areas for us as we have sourced startups and run our accelerator programs. So the first that you can see here is payments and remittance. This is quite a key focus area and probably one of the spaces we've seen the most growth in terms of incumbents and startups participating and generating revenue in the region. Still mostly cash-based economies, but there's a lot of growth that we're seeing from incumbents like Visa and MasterCard as they're looking to penetrate the payments network. I'll go over a few startups a bit later that have raised very high valuations in this space. And then you obviously have the mobile wallets across the region as well that have made big dents like OVO in Indonesia and a number of players that are playing in this space. Another big focus for us is the second one, which you see is artificial intelligence, data analytics, and robot process automation. I lumped them all together because these are kind of generic technologies that can be used for a wide variety of use cases. If you're familiar with the automation space, there are a number of processes within banks that can be automated, and it's our job to find the right partners for them and the right processes for them to to automate within their organizations. And then for data analytics and artificial intelligence, machine learning, and this whole genre of technology, there's a number of use cases they could have, but a lot of the things that we've been seeing are with regards to using data for credit scoring, whether it's consumer, whether it's SMEs, and that's a big use case we've been seeing there. For the third focus area, digital banking, as you can see with the Hong Kong and Singapore digital banking licenses, has been a big focus. From a regulatory perspective, there are a number of startups that can come in and add value-added solutions for any company that's looking to create a digital bank from scratch, or along this line, open banking. So open banking has been a big trend in Europe, which we've seen a few years ago, and it's starting to take place in Asia. I think it's still early days for a lot of the financial institutions to adopt it, but I think it's very clear that it's inevitable as they're looking to distribute more digitally, reach new customers, reach new markets, especially tapping onto the likes of these big e-commerce unicorns that you're seeing like Lazada, Shopee, Bukalapak, Traveloka. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to create better APIs and better integrations with these digital platforms. Another focus area that we're seeing is trade finance. It's a big area in Southeast Asia. Singapore is one of the biggest trading hubs of the world. HSBC, ING, a lot of the biggest trade finance banks are based in Southeast Asia. Our partner KTB also does focus on trade finance. And so a lot of our startups are based on supply chain financing and helping them underwrite for this, or helping create platforms that make the very bulky and very archaic process of trade finance and letters of credit a bit more seamless. OCR technology and digitization is a big space here. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that. And the last focus area that we have here is wealth management. We focus on startups that help provide a more digital experience for banks or other companies that are looking to provide a wealth management experience. A startup that we invested in here is called Trade ID. They're essentially trying to create the Robinhood for Southeast Asia, and starting in Indonesia and a few other markets. So there are a lot of startups that we've been dealing with that help digitalize this wealth management process and make it much more digitally native to sell wealth products, or to educate clients on what their portfolio is, and also to help them manage it on their own through much better interfaces. So these are kind of the fintech startup focus areas that we've been dealing with for the past few years across Southeast Asia. And on the InsurTech side, I wanted to focus on 4 core areas. I think the first one is the biggest one we've been dealing with, which is digital brokers and distribution. I will talk about a few startups in this space in a later slide. It's a very emerging space. A lot of very successful startups in this space already, like Pasarpolis in Indonesia. There's a few direct-to-consumer carrier companies in Hong Kong that have come out, like 1 Degree and Bowtie. How successful they've been is, I guess, still up to be determined. But we see this as a very big emerging space, and especially a lot of incumbent insurance companies, as you can see with like Chubb and Chubb Studio, and what AXA has been doing in the past few years. And a number of insurance companies are looking to tap into digital distribution channels, especially in an area like Southeast Asia, which has a high mobile phone penetration rate, as well as a lot of growth in the e-commerce and online retail sector. So that's a big focus in terms of growing the new business. The second is customer service and engagement. As I mentioned, Southeast Asia is a very digitally savvy market in the world, even more so than other markets on a per capita basis. And so because of their experience of working with large tech platforms like Facebook and Instagram and other kind of newer technologies and companies, financial services companies are trying to find a way to gamify experiences, make claims processes much smoother, understand a bit more about how banks can kind of make their platforms better for millennials and offer new products. This could be with savings and things that just offer more touch points for a financial institution to have with their client base, and overall get more data, help with cross-selling and upselling and things of this nature. On the other side, there's new risks in products. I would say this is a very hot space as well that we're looking at, whether it's natural catastrophe and parametric insurance, There's a lot of increase in the growth of the gig economy, and there are new risks and products that can be created there. And there are just a multitude of new risks that are emerging. One of the startups in our current InsurTech batch is focusing on creating a startup about covering internet outages. And so when SMBs or large corporations don't have access to internet for whatever reason, based off of some of the data that they have, that they can verify this for fraud mitigation, they can kind of have a parametric product to pay this out. And I think there are a lot of new ideas around this space as the world is becoming more remote and digital. Cybersecurity and things of this nature become a much bigger risk. And in that sense, insurance companies need a lot better actuarial and risk modeling to help tackle these risks. And that's where the startups and their technologies come into play. The last focus area that I would like to discuss at a very high level is life insurance and health tech. Health tech, as I mentioned, is a very big focus for us. It provides a lot of life insurance companies a better interface and touch point. Usually there's a lot more flexibility on the health tech side to kind of experiment and work with new startups, bring value added services. There's a lot of health tech companies that can be focused on a specific disease, like diabetes is a big focus, could be stroke related, heart disease, and that could help with prevention as well, and lowering overall claims costs. So at a high level, these are the InsurTech startup focus areas that we've been dealing with at Plug and Play based off of what we've been reading and seeing from our corporate partners. So I want to dive into 4 key areas and talk about a few of the startups there at a very high level. I don't want to spend too much time on any individual startup, but here are some of the startups that we see in this space. So I told you that one of the big areas for us was open banking, digital banking, as well as digital distribution. I call these companies like enablers. They kind of sit in the back end and help financial institutions and startups and other platforms that are looking to be embedded within financial services to be connected. So as you can see, I myself am a really big fan of this space. We've made 3 investments already in this space. So the majority of our investments are actually in this enabler space, whether it's Broncos. They are looking to provide API integrations for banks that don't have open banking capabilities right now. They are based in the Philippines, but they have customers all across the region. But they can also work within payments, e-commerce, and cash management systems. One of their biggest use cases for insurance is reconciliation, and they've already done a POC with one of our corporate partners in that space as well. Open Legacy sits in a very similar space. They've also done a POC with one of our insurance partners to help automate their legacy systems and help get data that's quite siloed and inaccessible sometimes, and to get that pulled through API calls. And it also makes it much easier for them to also be able to integrate into platforms that require an API integration, whereas some legacy systems aren't really equipped for that. And we've been dealing with that on a very broad scale, especially in the emerging markets like Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia. A couple of companies that we recently invested in this year. So Broncos was an investment from 2018. We reinvested last year in 2019 in their Series A. But for AppBoxo and Decentro, we invested this calendar year. For AppBoxo, they're helping to create a super app and mini app infrastructure ecosystem. So think about what Tencent and WeChat and Alibaba and a lot of the Chinese companies did in terms of creating super apps, and what Grab is looking to build here. They help kind of democratize that platform, and any company that wants to create this embedded super app and mini app ecosystem where it's just much more seamless for the customer to buy different services on your platform. This is a huge use case within like travel industries or financial services. AppBoxo is the underlying platform to help create mini apps and super apps. And then Decentro is a company based out of India. They've integrated within 3 to 4 banks in India, as well as DBS in Singapore, allowing fintechs to essentially have banking as a service. And instead of taking 5 to 6 months on average to connect within the APIs within financial institutions, which is notoriously very difficult, Decentro is helping create a platform where they can access a suite of financial products like KYC, AML, core banking through API integrations that would only take a couple of weeks. Given that they've made it much more streamlined for them to connect to these larger financial institutions. So it's really a big win for everyone, and their vision is to become the Plaid of Southeast Asia and create a two-way market in that place. So I think this is one of the biggest trends we're seeing. I'm really excited about a lot of the startups that we're seeing in this space, and it's going to increase over time, in my opinion. Another big focus area that we're seeing on the fintech side is payments and remittance. So Neum is a company that rebranded itself. It was started as Instarem, which was very focused on like TransferWise's business model, which is cross-border payments with consumers. They recently pivoted. They got a very big investment from Visa, and they have a very big collaboration with them to actually work with payments across SMEs as well. A new startup in this space is called TazaPay, which is the one in the middle. They are very young, but we talked to them recently. They're quite exciting. The CEO is the ex-head of APAC for Stripe. It's a super, super well-qualified and talented team. And they're also trying to solve the issue of cross-border commerce and payments with a focus on the SMB market, because it's quite archaic in terms of how these payments are being made. There's a lot of trust involved. There's a lot of ways in which this process can be more trustworthy as well as efficient and cheaper at the end of the day for the companies involved. The last company I want to talk about in the payments space is Matchmove. They help create white-labeled e-wallet services for any company that would like to have one. So these e-wallets can facilitate things like cross-border money transfers within an organization, even credit cards, as well as credit scoring as well. Instarem and Matchmove were both part of our FinTech Accelerator program about a year ago. Another area that we see is very emerging on the InsurTech side is the emergence of digital insurance carriers and brokers. If I wanted to put all of them on the slide, it would take too much space. I'm not going to talk about each one of these individually, but I put the countries in which they're focused on the bottom right-hand side. You do have some models like Sunday, which is like a full-fledged carrier. They have their own team that's underwriting. They can write their own paper on their own products. So, and as I mentioned, we have a couple of companies in Hong Kong and obviously Singapore Life, which is a bit more established, that's doing that here in the Singapore market. A common brokerage/distribution model that we're seeing are companies like Kuala and Pasarpolis in Indonesia, where they're focusing on micro insurance policies and helping create this for insurance companies that might be struggling to create them on their own, as well as with the integrations with e-commerce platforms like Bukalapak and Tokopedia and others. So Pasarpolis just recently raised over $50 million. Koala is very well funded as well. And so I would say this is one of the major spaces within InsurTech we are seeing in the region where they've received a lot of venture-backed funding. I think time will tell how successful each individual model is, but we've seen a lot of growth in this space. A couple of emerging startups that are part of our current accelerator program are VSure and Save Money. VSure is looking to create a more of a lifestyle insurance product that's a bit more customized and personalized. And Save Money is looking to create a B2B2C platform, leveraging telco data as well as insurance expertise to create a platform to sell insurance much more efficiently and digitally in the Vietnam market, which I, from my conversations with Korean corporations, Vietnam is a very interesting market. So that's a company that you guys can keep an eye out for in that market. The last one I wanted to mention is Igloo, which is in Singapore. They have a Lab 1 license to write their own products. So they actually have a direct-to-consumer insurance business, but they also work with large insurance companies to help create new insurance products. And they've also worked with some of our partners as well. So this is a really nice space that we see as emerging. We are looking to make some investments to this space from the VC side. And our corporate partners are always looking to leverage their technical expertise and their local market know-how in order to potentially partner with them in their individual markets with the common thread looking to be digitalizing insurance in a more cost-effective way, potentially, as well as better customer engagement and servicing. Finally, the last focus area I wanted to discuss that we've been seeing and that we're excited about here at Plug and Play is the intersection between health tech and insurtech. We see this as one of the most emerging spaces, both for insurance companies as well as people in the hospital or pharmaceutical space. A few of the startups that we have looked at, and one that we've invested in this year, is a direct-to-consumer company in Indonesia called Norm. It's similar if you're familiar with Him and Hers or Roman, which is now Ro in the US, focusing on men's health products like hair loss, erectile dysfunction, acne treatment, which is a pretty taboo topic in Indonesia. So there's like a lot of marketing and design that's going behind how they're distributing that product, which we're quite excited about. There's a couple of other companies that have been part of our InsurTech batch, like Activa Labs and Hainunu. Activa Labs is based in Singapore, looking to create a health ecosystem platform for financial institutions and insurance companies to create a digital customer experience that leverages smartphone data, getting a health score from the individual that could potentially be useful eventually for underwriting policies, which sounded like it was science fiction a couple of years ago, but they've been actively adapting their models and they have some strong use cases. They already work with two big insurance companies that you can see here, Marsh and Sun Life. And they're one of the startups that is really emerging in this health and wellness customer engagement space that AI and I guess Vitality kind of kicked off a few years ago. The last startup is Hainunu. They're focusing on a space that's very near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, which is elderly health management. All of us have parents. The CEO started the company because he couldn't take care of his mom, who was based in China while he was abroad, and he essentially created this company that leverages blockchain, IoT, and data analytics to provide elderly people at home a way to communicate and keep track of their health, as well as notifying people when their health is lower, offering telemedicine through companies like AXA, and then offering insurance services and underwriting based off of that data, which companies like Ping An have been leveraging in the past. So I know I went through that quite quickly, and there's a lot more focus areas that we could talk about, but I thought these were a few of the focus areas that we'd like to share from our perspective at Plug and Play and what we're quite excited about in the years coming up. So with that, I would like to thank you all for your time, and I will give the floor back to the speaker.
Thank you, Kevin, for your insightful presentation and the market in Singapore. Now, let us begin with a fire chat. This session will be moderated by Myung-Soo Song, Managing Director of PNP Korea. Due to a time limit, please keep your time to 20 minutes. Is it possible? Okay. You may start. I cannot hear you. Can you turn on your...
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Myung-Soo Song, Managing Director of Plug and Play Korea. Today, I'm happy to invite a distinguished panel from insurance and investment industry in Asia to talk about the way of financial services working with the investing on InsurTech, in fintech startups, and digital transformation, and also how it's going to change finance and insurance industry. Before we start, let me briefly introduce our panel today. John Bang. Johnny joined Zurich Insurance Company in 2013. Now he's leading Korea business, and he's also a global relationship leader for one of the largest relationship customers in Asia, as well as leads the captive proposition for Zurich, Singapore. Prior to Zurich, he worked with Chubb and Korean Re as a marine underwriter. John received his Master of Law from the University of Southern California. John, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Okay. And then next, Kevin Angelini is Head of Strategy and M&A for Zurich Insurance based in Hong Kong. In his position, he's driving impact, sustainable, and profitable growth through business strategy, growth-focused M&A, and partnership. Prior to Zurich, he worked for Willis Towers Watson and General Lee and Deloitte, and holds an MBA from Kellogg and HKU, and studied economics from University College London. Kevin, thank you for joining. And then Vaibhavi Mehta is a health insurance expert. She has 15 years of experience in APAC with insurance dealing in product of health, accident, travel, and life. Vaibhavi holds an MBA degree from INSEAD and is an author and writer of group benefits and health insurance for Singapore College of Insurance. Vaibhavi, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Okay. So let me start with the talk within Zurich. Zurich has more than 150 years of history and up and down, and one of the leading digital transformation company in the world. And John, please explain Zurich's vision and value to customers by digital transformation.
Well, thank you, Myung-Soo. Thank you for introducing us in such a detail. Yeah, we're very honored to, Kevin and I, we're very honored to be part of this FinTech webinar, and we thank FinTech Center and Plug and Play for inviting us. I think the more important part will be discussed with Kevin, but I could just tackle that Zurich as an organization. We're focusing, heavily on digital transformation, mainly because our core values are customer focused and basically innovating how to do business with our customers. And naturally, we are in a midst of changing world where doing business is now evolving. And Zurich wants to, we're trying very hard to make sure that we are ready for the new customers.
Okay, and then as I know that Zurich's you guys have a lot of functions to support the global corporate partners. Could you explain me a bit more about you guys have the real-time global risk management system for your corporate client? As I know, could you explain me about that, please?
Yeah, sure. So among many offerings, one of the key major focus area where we offer, we believe we're one of the best international program providers globally. And in order to provide that service, you need basically two core main functions. Number one, you need a global network, and number two is system. And so we have a portal called My Zurich. It's a digital portal where online, a live function where all the customers or risk engineers can log in anytime, 24/7, and to track all the policy issuance, risk engineering, and claims management. And we pride ourselves to provide this service to all the multinational corporates in the globe.
Okay, I see. Let me move to Kevin. As an investor, what trends are you seeing from global financial services, including your competitor and client, trying collaboration with startups in Asia?
I actually think that Kevin did a really good job in outlining the landscape just a moment ago. I'll just add a couple of remarks onto his explanation. I think this is a very exciting space because it's new. Insurance companies have for many years been very used to doing everything ourselves. It's in our DNA to manage A to Z within the company. So to cooperate and to work together with companies outside is a fairly new concept. And this means that things are moving very fast. What's really interesting in Asia is most of the countries are growth economies. So a lot of the efforts are linked to finding new growth or distribution for insurance. This could be, for example, working with digital banks or digital e-wallets, finding new customers through digital means, which is different from traditional ways of operating. There's also some nice examples of trying to transform internal processes or trying to improve customer service. Things like submission of a claim is now much easier than it used to be. Trying to eliminate paperwork, trying to make the number of questions we ask customers lower, and making payments faster. So I think these are all interesting points. I would really like to see more developments on data analytics. I think there's a lot of appetite for insurance companies to use data analytics, but there's also many restrictions. Right now, there's many restrictions from regulation on what data you can use and what data you cannot use for product design or for pricing. And this is a big limitation. So I think this is what I would like to see much more of in the future.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. As Mr. Chairman John mentioned before in his opening remarks, actually, well, nowadays things are changing in terms of the regulation. The government trying to open and reduce the limit of the that there's regulation to make it a bit more better to make a better environment for the the digital transformation, not only startups but also existing financial services. I think it's a good trend. I think that we'll see what will happen. So, Bobby, you have been working with AIG, Axis Capital, so many global companies. Same question, a bit different view. What trends are you seeing from global insurance companies trying collaboration with insurtech startups in Asia in general?
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it is a real good observation here that howsoever companies such big as Zurich Insurance want to go into the digital world, but as Kevin mentioned, there are regulatory issues, and big companies do try to come up with the trends where they want to digitalize the entire value chain, right from product till customer service, including underwriting, claims, so on and so forth. But the issue here is that the deep capital pockets which the companies should have, not everyone have that luxury. Swiss Re can have that, AIA or Aviva can have that, Zurich can have that, but not everyone can have that. So that is where the insurance companies who want to go digital way, who realize the importance of digital lifestyle, they partner with insurtech firms. Insurtech firms within their own capabilities come out with very good solutions, but that solution does not cover your entire value chain again. It covers one link of the chain that could be operational improvement. It could be a digital distribution network. It could be a agile product which they can come up with. And when insurance companies deal with these insurtech firms, they are able to solve at least one link of the entire value chain to give a solution. For example, you would have heard that Aviva and Sing Life are coming together, and Aviva have recently given digital training for all the agents to increase the digital sales. Or you would see Grab has partnered with Chongan so that all the Grab app users or Grab drivers, they get insurance. And I think these are some baby steps, but I agree with both John and Kevin that there is a very exciting space which we should look forward to. And also Kevin mentioned about open banking. Similarly, open insurance is something which is coming, but at a very low rate here in Asia. But that is I would say that is one of the trend which we have to look forward to, where open insurance regulators will allow open insurance, and we will be able to come up with a faster digital transformation. We don't need COVID for digital transformation. We just need open insurance.
Wow. Thank you for your comment. As you mentioned that there are not only big companies like the Aviva and AXA and Samsung Insurance and the KB Shina and Zurich. So there are very many small sized companies who cannot afford by themselves. I think that the collaboration between all those small sized financial services and the fintech startups would increase a lot. Thank you for your comment again. To Kevin again, I think that the Kevin explained about the couple of the startups we invested in, the kind of hot startups. Please share some of your favorite examples of startups, corporate collaboration or investment. This could be from your company's investment or just in general cases that you think serves as a good example in fintech industry.
Sure. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen, and I'll also talk about examples within our company. So, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen, yes.
Great, so I think I'll share a little bit about our approach to the startups, and this is really tying into our vision about two things mainly which we look to build ecosystem. One is business as usual. We have insurance propositions where we try to introduce services to go together with the insurance. But second, which is a little bit more modern, is trying to lead with services and introduce insurance as part of those services when we deal with customers. But I'll come to a couple of examples now. So Kevin and Vaibhav also mentioned about health and wellness. I think this is a very fast-moving space. We like to position ourselves as an insurance company to help customers along their journey along their lifestyle, help them live better, help them prevent diseases, help them manage care. So we can introduce them to companies. And there's a number of companies on the bottom right here, and we work together with these startups in a number of different ways. Mirtel is a company in Japan. It's a biotech company focused on microRNA, and we are interested in their breast cancer capabilities. So they help us identify early stage breast cancer for customers, and we can help customers identify this incidence and then manage their services through the next stage of their life. We started with a commercial partnership with this company, and now we have invested into this company in Japan. HealthLogics and FitSense are two companies, startups that we actually acquired. So we started working with them, and now they are part of the Zurich group of companies. And they both offer mobile solutions. FitSense works with wearable data, things like wearables. They collect data from these sorts of devices and translate that data into something that we can make some use of. So we are now integrating this capability into our network of services. Whereas HealthLogics is an Australia and South Africa-based company. We just made an announcement. This is very new. They offer web-based sales and engagement tools to customers. And now we're very happy to welcome them to the Zurich group of companies. But not only health and wellness, some other examples in mobility. Mobility, we associate anything to do with driving, movement, but in particular, all of these new ride-sharing applications like Uber, like Kakao Taxi, like Grab in Singapore. We're finding new and innovative ways to work with them. So we're very interested in how people drive and how that affects their insurance score. So we bought a company called Brightbox, which is actually a Hong Kong-based company, but is global, and they help us with telematics services for us to help understand that data. But many of you will be familiar with OneConnect, which is part of Ping An Group. We work with OneConnect very closely here in Hong Kong in building a network of services that we can offer to our auto insurance customers. So I think we are very open-minded in how we work with the startup community. It could be with pure commercial arrangement. If that's going well, we're happy to invest sometimes also. And sometimes we even acquire the company outright.
Oh, thank you for sharing your idea and the investment. What a big hand from the M&A side. Please, call Kevin, who has, for example, that if you are kind of promising startups in Korea, please call Kevin. And I think that, the investment, I think that from Zurich side is not just for the financial purpose. I think that it's kind of a bit more strategic purpose. M&A is happening. I think that it's the way that the Korean insurance companies and the bankings should follow the way, not just for just high risk, high interest, that kind of financial purpose. I think it's the way I think that we should go. And especially when you go to the global market, it's kind of the way we can approach a bit more easily. Yeah. So I think that let me go to Bobby again. You're the healthcare insurance specialist, and let me know if you can give and also you're the market expert in India market, South Asia market. So if you have any kind of the healthcare startups, core cases with financial services in insurance companies in Asia, especially in India, can you share the idea, please?
Yeah, as Kevin mentioned, that Asia is coming up with many digital startups, and health is contributing the most to that. A recent McKinsey report says that 32% of worldwide insurance startups, 32% was contributed to health tech startups. So health is a very big thing here in Asia. Unfortunately, because of low penetration across Asia, across India, with a population of 1.3 billion, the insurance penetration rate is very low. And that leads to a lot of issues in terms of good data, in terms of offering good products, in terms of reaching out to people. This, I would say, is a common problem across Southeast Asia, with most popular countries like India, Indonesia, and also across Asia, like big companies, countries like China. But if you particularly talk about India, we have seen, or rather we have observed that India has come up in a very interesting manner about digital adaptation. The digital awareness of people and the data which they have is quite cheap. India has divided its digital journey, especially in the insurance industry, in three scenarios. One is the big insurance companies themselves are investing a lot in making the entire value chain digitalized. Another segment is standalone digital companies. You would have heard about Echo General Insurance or Digit General Insurance, Toffee Insurance. These are the companies, pure insurance company, but only dealing digital ways. Their operations, their sales, their portfolio management, everything is digital way. And that gives a lot of boost to reach out to those unpenetrated or untapped market in India. And lastly, definitely we have a lot of InsurTech startups in India. Again, they face the same challenge that they offer a solution which cannot cater to the entire value chain, but yes, they are there to solve the issue. And I think even though India is facing a problem when it comes to data, as like any other countries in Southeast Asia, but the government of India is pushing for good social health schemes, and that is helping to build the data. And couple of startups which I know are, you would know that Policy Bazaar or Mantra Labs are those very well established InsurTech startups in India. But also there are some health tech startups in India which help you with chronic disease management, which help you with predictive analysis as to what would be the financial cost of particular treatment. And I think for a country like India, where people do not have enough money on hand to spend on healthcare, the government is not very robust with healthcare, the healthcare infrastructure is not very good, these startups are giving the required boost. So India is a space to watch out for. And I did heard that John mentioned Plug and Play is going in India. So eventually, whenever you guys are, but that is a very exciting space to be. India is the place right now when it comes to digital adaptation in insurance.
Thank you for sharing your idea. I think, as you mentioned, digital transformation and innovation should happen anywhere. I think not only in Silicon Valley, in Korea. I think we can see, Kevin, you are reside in Hong Kong, but I think that, you can see a lot of changes from Ping'an, China, and a lot of changes from India. I think that open innovation, that's why we collaborate with them. I think that the role of the FinTech Center is the same. I think to make make more collaboration between existing financial services startups, not only in Korea, like this is the PNP Singapore and with other the government agencies. So John, so let me ask one more question for you. We are doing open innovation here in Plug and Play, and FinTech Center is doing, and a lot of banks. But as a global company, Zurich is one of the leading innovation program, which is called the Zurich Innovation Championship from couple of years ago. Could you explain me about that innovation platform that the Zurich is doing and the result of that, please?
Yeah, sure. So it's not really a platform; it's an event. So Zurich host a global Zurich Innovation Championship event once a year, where we invite startups from all over the world to participate. And there's a round of stages of round where the country selects one or two, and then you go to the regional round and then the championship round. And this is we find this very effective way to collaborate with the new startups. In 2020, over almost 1,400 startups applied and participated in Zurich Innovation Championship. And in Asia Pacific, we have a winner this year. There's a company called Mello. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a Hong Kong-based startup where they provide personal apps for children to learn about financial dealings. And also, there's an Australian company called Pops, where they can alternatively, provide solutions for blood testing. So those two companies were the winners in Asia Pacific. But in other regions, we have, you know, startups where we actually collaborate together, and it's a very effective way because it provides a proof of concept where we could test them, right, and see where we can help each other and find a win-win solution. And like Kevin said, if we really see the value proposition working, then, you know, it becomes a real business case.
Thank you for your comment. And because of the timeline, let me ask you one last question to Kevin. As an investor, what are some long-term challenges in your industry that you like to see startups solve, but might need more time, not within 1 or 2 years, with a long-term view? Could you share your idea, please?
Sure, I'll try my best with my crystal ball here. Let me share a little bit about how we see the world in our ecosystems. There's 6 ecosystems which we prefer to focus on as Zurich, and they're shown here. So cyber insurance is a new area, and rather than just provide the pure insurance, we wish to work together with companies that will help our clients prevent or manage the aftermath of a cyber attack. So this is very much Zurich being part of a wider network of services. This is a very new area, which is especially important in 2020, given we have so many employees and people working remotely. The risk of cyber attacks is much higher than in previous years. WellCare is the health and wellness example I mentioned a moment ago. Travel, although we think travel this year and next year will be a record low, I think this is also something that we wish to focus on in Zurich, because we wish to elevate the awareness of travel security. So work with consumers before they travel, while they travel, and after they travel, and make sure that their experience is seamless. So let them become aware of certain events, what they can do to prepare. I think the health risk about traveling now is particularly important. And we think there's a market for that. So we're especially keen on working together with companies that have capabilities in travel. New Life is all about modernizing our approach for life insurance. So this example that John shared a moment ago about POPs, this diabetes company, and Mello, the financial planning, is about educating customers on how they can save better, how they can live better. So in life insurance, we wish to provide peace of mind, not just reimbursements. So how we can work together with companies that allow us to do so. Mobility is also something I touched on a moment ago, and how we work together with drive scoring applications or with ride sharing companies like Grab, like Kakao Taxi, or whoever. And finally, it's about home and property. Many years ago, property insurance was really, you filed a claim if you had a burglary or if you had a fire or a flood. But now, we can work together with telecoms companies. We can work together with security companies on alerting customers on when there's an unauthorized entry into someone's apartment, or is there a heightened risk of a flood in your area. So I think there's many things we can do. We don't think we can invest in all sectors, but in these 6 areas, I think this is where we will assign a high level of priority.
Wow, what a view! Thank you, Kevin. Actually, I was pretty interested in the field you mentioned, the new life and the travel, because most of the people think that when they think about insurance company, they just think about claim or adjustment or something like that. For banking side, we're just talking about open banking payment. But I think that now it's really time of the open innovation. Not only the insurance company working for the insurance side, they're working with travel companies, they're working with in other industries, they're working with the sustainable industry, right? So I think that it's a time like that, things are changing in that way. Anyhow, that because of the short amount of time, I think I have to wrap up over here. It's a very short time, but really appreciate to Kevin, John, Vayabi sharing your idea and also giving us chance this kind of to present and listen from the industry expert. Thank you for this chance to Mr. Chung Yu-shin and then also Korea Fintech Center Korea. So thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. Song. Mr. Song?
Yep.
Not Song. Not Song. Can I ask one question? Sorry, time is very tight, but the Kevin, you are in charge of the investment and M&A and insurance area. Thank you very much for your presentation. And anyway, as for InsurTech, particularly as for Korean InsurTech, the insurance company is very, very important. The first, the major client for the InsurTech, and also it is the center of the InsurTech ecosystem as well. So you talk about the many insurance company and referring to Ping An Insurance, but do you have some? Can you say some the major Korean insurance company you are the contact with, how to cooperate with them? It's your area or the John Bank's area? I'm not sure, but
no, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, this it's a great question. I think as a Korean, I want the Korean companies to step up and be in all the examples that Plug and Play shares or Zurich shares, but unfortunately, I mean, we're not seeing the same pace from the Korean insurers, to be very frank. I think technology is definitely there. A lot to do with regulation. I mean, tell me, I think Kevin you're the more of an expert on that area, but as a general remark, we do want to work very closely with the Korean market and help the Korean market transform into the digital space.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different. We don't have an office in Korea, so we cover Korea from our Singapore office, and John is leading this initiative. So it's a little bit difficult for us to be in contact frequently with Korean startups. I meet several companies, especially those who come to Hong Kong for Rise or FinTech Week, or if they're in Singapore for FinTech Festival, and etc. But this means we normally meet by chance, and I think it would be nice to have some Korean companies participate in our innovation championship. I think last year 1 or 2 companies did, and they're very, very welcome to participate in our Singapore innovation championship. I think we're very happy to do this. But otherwise, I think it's a little bit hard. I mean, I've met Kakao Pay, I've met We Make Price. Some of the very outbound companies is easy for us to meet, but I think we would also appreciate the chance to know the Korean startups better.
I think one of the reasons is that Mr. Song here in Korea, and your presentation, earlier, I would say, I'm a little bit surprised when we see that the InsurTech, particularly related to the IoT devices, to reduce, check risk and evaluate risk, and some cases solve the risk problem, risk issue. So it's cover all the the industry area, and so it's pretty important. And then particularly under digital mobile transformation of the world.
Yeah.
So I think we can connect with each other through Mr. Song.
I met a very interesting company from Korea last year that was an internet IoT company that had a smart belt. So it's a belt for men, and men would wear this belt while they're wearing a formal suit like me today. And this belt would detect certain activity such as sudden increase in waist size as an indication of overeating, or are you losing weight, are you drinking enough water, and so forth. And this was a very interesting company that we were happy to work with for our health and wellness business. I think, and then we introduced them to our Australian business because we launched a new product in Australia. I think the challenge in Australia is that people are not dressing so formal most of the time compared to us today. But yeah, I think examples like that are super interesting for us.
Thank you.
If I can add, just one comment, I think that as Mr. Chung mentioned, because the startups, even they have the good quality of the tech-based company, if there is no efficient channel like fintech center Korea, it's really hard to get them to go abroad. So that's why I think that the government make that this organization to support startups. Also, one of the role over here is that to make them go overseas easily, make them connected with your existing network, something like that. So I think that we expect a lot, not only from the PNP side. I think that there are a lot of startups, fintech startups would expect a lot from the fintech center Korea. And then, yeah, so giving a burden to you. Yes, thank you again.
Thank you.
Best through the cooperate with the two gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all experts from Plug and Play and Zurich Insurance and experts for your insightful comments and ideas. Now we are a little bit of a time lag, but we do have a very good company from Korea side. First company is BOMAP, and let us start with the BOMAP's presentation.
Okay, may I begin?
Yes, you may begin. Yes.
Okay. Let me start with sharing my screen. Okay. So can you see this slide? Is it
yes,
playing?
I can see your slide. Yes, please start.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Jo Jun-hui from BOMAP. I'm a global business team manager at BOMAP. Today I'm going to talk about how BOMAP is innovating insurance in Korea. And before I move on to the main topic, let me briefly talk about our company. So BOMAP is the most funded insurtech in Korea, founded in 2015. And it is the developer and the operator of insurance platform, BOMAP application, which was launched in 2017. The company has raised total amount of $19 million of funding so far. So let me begin. So I'll start from market condition we see in Korea and the strategic direction of BOMAP. So in a nutshell, when it comes to market condition, majority of consumers are still buying policies from offline retail agents. So that is more noticeable in life insurance, while general insurance is showing a little bit of increase in online sales over the past 5 years. And when we look deeper into the general insurance market, car insurance, which is more standardized and a compulsory product, and this part, online sales is increasing more significantly, while long-term policy is still lacking in the digital distribution. However, consumer preference for online channel is still growing. This is all thanks to their experience in other financial sectors such as banking and money transfer and other day-to-day basis e-commerce experiences. So for life insurance, according to the recent study by KIRI, 14.7% of consumers were willing to buy life insurance products online in the future, while the number was higher in general insurance, which was 26% of consumers willing to buy insurance products online. And to be more specific, with the product category, health insurance was among the highest product category where consumers were willing to buy products online. And luckily, this is our main product category in our applications insurance marketplace. And when it comes to demographics, consumers in a younger age and with higher education and income level were more willing to buy insurance products online. So I can definitely say that market condition is favorable to our business model. And let me begin with where we started. So we started as a back-end value chain company. We focused more on policy management and claiming process, and then we moved on to quoting and purchasing process. So now I can say that BOMAP application is a place where full life cycle of insurance product is taking place. So you can make quotes and buy insurance product. Then you can look up for the current status of your coverage level, and you can also file a claim. So more on our business strategy. So for our B2C business, which means our independent platform, we are further enhancing and sophisticating level of personalization when it comes to quoting and purchasing. And for our B2B2C business, we are adding more platforms to our ecosystem to include more consumer base for our range of insurance products. And for the last part, for our global business, we are tapping into a global market, to be more specific, Southeast Asian market, where the use of mobile internet and the demand for insurance product is exploding at the same time. So for quoting and purchasing part, we are further enhancing the level of personalization. And indeed, we recently launched our latest addition to the BOMAP application, which is insurance fitting service, where users can find the best fit product for their current status. And for the purchasing part, this week we added modular product for cancer insurance. So our personalization process is powered by 3 sets of data. One is based on our simple questionnaire for our users that includes their income level and their marital status, or if they have child or not. And the next one is public healthcare data that is linked to their latest medical history, whether they got any medical service or not. And the last one is current coverage level, powered by KCIS. This is all thanks to the existing centralized database. Before this service, we had to access each individual insurance company's website and did our own scraping to gather the current coverage level. And our highly personalized product recommendation and the claiming and all other services are provided in award-winning, simple and informative UX UI design, making insurance more accessible and more understandable to a broader consumer base. So our goal is definitely becoming a #1 insurance platform in Korea, and we believe that this is going to unlock more opportunities for BOMAP, including healthcare service and finance service. So for healthcare side, we can also connect healthcare services, fitness services, and the health-related products, for example, like dietary supplements, linked to our insurance services. For finance and fintech side, we can definitely push our service to the premium loan and the wealth management. So this is the opposite side of the most super app or fintech giants approach to the insurance. We start from the middle and go outside instead of like putting everything in the same basket and expect to like their products be related somehow. And for our B2B2C business, it has been mainly focused on travel insurance, and we're definitely improving this part as well. We are currently working on adding more partners to our ecosystem. So based on our current connection to OTAs and travel applications, we are adding Zoom Internet and Triple to our network. And we are adding more products, including embedded products, to improve consumer experience. And meanwhile, we're going to add more products in other categories other than travel insurance. This is going to be pet economy insurance and other range of insurances, including ride-hailing or other platform services. So we've been making a good track record in Korea. The app was downloaded more than 2 million times, and we have more than 1.7 million signed up users. And we have very good model. We've tried almost everything. We started from claiming service, we started from policy management, and then we moved on to mini insurances, micro insurance, and then we moved on to healthcare, long-term products. So we have very good track record, and we see how market reacts. And that is why we started to looking at the global market, where, to be more specific, Southeast Asian market. So over the last year, we've been talking to the list of companies, global insurers and the local insurers in Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia, and Indonesia. So we hope to see a good outcome. Although our global project is kind of stalled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we're always open to good opportunities. So we're always open to the suggestions and talks. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to contact BOMAP. So this is pretty much all I prepared for today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Manager, for your presentation. Due to time limit, let's go on to Tobicon. He is a CEO of Tobicon. Please welcome Tobicon's presentation.
Okay, hi. So I'm not the CEO. I'm one of the staff from Tobicon, but it's okay. Greetings. Thanks Korea Fintech Center Korea and Plug and Play for putting together such an insightful webinar and an opportunity to introduce our intelligent underwriting system. Whether you're from Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Philippines, India, California, whichever country you may be from, the insurance business has 4 major parts: subscription, underwriting, purchasing, and also insurance claim. And among these, Tobicon paid attention to underwriting, and not everyone is actually subject to underwriting. The insurance applicants who have illness or have past medical history, or who are applying for insurance with a very large death benefit, then they are subject to underwriting. And you might be aware of it. The underwriting are currently performed in 3 ways. First of all, they can be performed over the phone. We call it Tele Underwriting. You conduct a tele interview, and it can be also done through documentary review. So underwriters to get the documents like medical certificates or medical records, and when the applicant has a medical history or currently has any problem. Thirdly, it can be also done through paramedic exam. It's where a nurse visit the applicant or conduct paramedic exams like drawing blood samples, collecting urine samples, or checking ECG and blood pressure. However, there are some problems with current underwriting practices. First of all, there is a risk of collecting inaccurate health data. For example, specimen degeneration is an issue. Since urine samples aren't sterilized, they could go bad faster than milk does, which is a big issue. And regarding paramedic examination, the applicant may distort data by taking medicine before the visit. So if the applicant has high cholesterol, then that person might take a pill to lower their level before they take the examination. And of course, the high cost involved with underwriting is an issue as well. And because the cost is high, insurance companies try to avoid expensive underwriting whenever possible and opt for more simpler screening instead. And this lowers the quality of underwriting. And as you can expect, these practices come with side effects. And the overall insurance loss ratio in Korea is rising. Page 4. Moreover, current underwriting decisions are made based on current data that is available, and this makes the decision-making process incomplete. As on the slide, you have this current state of health, but this is just a snapshot of a current state of health. So you're not sure whether this person is getting worse to be here or getting better to be here. And this is where Tobicon comes in. Next slide, please. And Okay. Let me walk through how Tubicon tackles these problems I mentioned earlier. We utilize public data to improve accuracy and limit the possibility of data forgery, and we analyze data to understand if the applicant's health is getting better or worse. And also, the insurance can reduce the cost up to 90% by using our system compared to current underwriting practices. So insurance would have more room to expand their underwriting by using our solution. Next slide, please. And above all, on our solution, you can perform real-time underwriting. So what I mean by that is you can process underwriting during the subscription stage. And normally underwriting can take up to 10 days, but instead you can process the subscription and underwriting together. Next page, please. So these are various efforts that we are doing. So we are selected as a designated agent and for an entrusted test by the Financial Services Commission, and this helps raise public confidence in our service. And also the Ministry of Health and Welfare provided an authoritative interpretation that our service is a non-medical act. Next slide, please. And in addition, we are using medication information like prescription information for underwriting. And this is for the first time in Korea. So basically, insurance companies can understand an applicant's health status through prescribed medications as well. Next slide, please. Currently, we are providing intelligent underwriting systems to 9 insurance companies in Korea, including Samsung Life, and it's the largest insurance company in Korea. Next slide, please. With collected healthcare data, we can also perform biological age analysis. It shows whether individual is getting younger or older biologically. And if you look at the slide, this person on the right, his actual age is 44. But if you look at his biological age, it's 45.2. And you can actually take a closer look. In terms of obesity, he is like 39.8, which is pretty good because it's younger than his age. But if you look at his cholesterol, it's alarming. So this is how our app looks like. Also, we can make estimations about various diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, and so on. Currently, we're providing this service to Hyundai Department Store, KEPCO, which is the largest electric utility provider in Korea, and Naja City. And this service is used for managing the health of their customers, employees, or local residents. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, recently the loss ratio of insurance company has been increasing very rapidly. And on top of that, the aging population and declining economically active population are affecting insurance companies. And since the market is stagnant, competition intensifies, and insurance are streamlining their underwriting practices to increase sales. And these create a vicious cycle and lead to a surge in loss rate. In order to solve this problem, insurers can utilize intelligent underwriting to reduce cost, but not just that. They can actually expand underwriting practices to manage their loss ratio. And also, underwriting shouldn't end as a one-off checkbox that insurers check off at the subscription stage. They can link the intelligent underwriting to their insurance products to continuously monitor and check the health status of their subscribers. We, to become the #1 intelligent underwriting service provider in Korea, will take the lead in exploring and developing a new path in the insurance industry. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. Due to the time limit, let's go on to a Q&A session very briefly. We do have pre-inquiry questions from our audience and our participating panelists. Chairman Yushin Jung, can you lead the Q&A session? Okay, yes. Okay, from Korea side, BOMAP, do you have an inquiry to Singapore market entry?
Yes, I have 2 questions. So, question 1 is, of course, I believe that everyone here is well aware that the insurance is a highly regulated industry. And in the perspective, what is the most significant or noticeable regulatory scheme change in Singapore for us Korean companies to follow up, and will those changes in regulatory schemes will be applied to foreign companies entering Singapore market? And the second question is, I'd like to learn more about the digital readiness, how well prepared Singapore insurance companies in Singapore are ready in terms of digitalization, since we have experience of building a system from the scratch for some insurers. Of course, some of the other insurance companies were ready, and their digital readiness was high, but for some insurers, we had to build from the scratch. So I'd like to know how on average, how is the digital readiness of Singaporean insurance companies?
Maybe John can answer about BOMAP's inquiry about insurance status and entry in Singapore.
Yeah, so I can answer to your first question. So in Singapore, MAS has a separate unit that deals with all the insurtech companies. So obviously the regulation is on a sandbox, process where they monitor very closely, and it's a very customized regulatory environment. So the regulators themselves sitting in MAS are from the insurtech industries, so they understand, the pros and cons. So we have met them. We actually meet them, on a regular basis, and it's a very it's a different environment where you could just express and tell them what you need, and they will follow up with you.
Yeah, because if I add, one more thing is that because of the nature of the Singapore is kind of the openness, from foreign countries. I think that it's hard to say in general, but I think that not only for the insurtech side, it's very startup friendly in the country. So for the logistics, for the bio sectors, so I think that they try to open a lot because they want to be a kind of the sample of the Southeast Asia kind of try test bed market. So I think that it's hard to say that in general that how open the regulation it is, but I think that it's much more open than here. I think I can say like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from Kevin or Bahif?
I would just like to add that your second question about the readiness of insurance companies in Singapore. Yes, Singapore is actively aware, especially the insurance industry is actively aware that how much digital adaptation is required, but not each company has that capital, that strategy, or that commitment. And believe me, biggest of the companies go through this frustration where committing themselves from the capital point of view, time and the manpower capability for digital transformation is not easy. And the returns they definitely expect returns on a quicker basis, which is not always possible. Again, Singapore market as such, population or market is one of the very smallest in Southeast Asia. So any solution they want it that it can be replicated to other parts of their offices such as Indonesia, Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia, so on and so forth. So it depends from each company how well your solution can be bring to scale and how they can achieve economies of scale. If it is there, then I'm sure they will be ready, but you can't say in general what is the readiness.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any inquiry from Singapore to Korean side? Okay. Oh, okay. Then from Topicon, we do have an inquiry from Topicon. The inquiry is, how is Singapore's public health data management system is like, and how does Singapore use public health data for insurance underwriting?
I think the Vaibabi has an idea on that. She's a specialist on the healthcare.
And thanks for that. See, as far as the healthcare infrastructure in Singapore is concerned, it is one of the world's best, I would say, and also in terms of data management. But having said that, health data is an extremely confidential data, and we are also governed by Monetary Authority of Singapore, where we have Personal Data Protection Act, and regulatory wise, MAS is very open, but at the same time quite strict when it comes to medical data. How much we can, as insurance companies, assess that public data for a better underwriting of a product is highly questionable here. We individual insurance companies or reinsurers try our best to collect the data within the PDPA guidelines and make sure that we are able to offer good products. But I don't think there is still, as I said previously, we do not have open insurance culture where all the data is publicly available to everyone, and certainly not health data.
Thank you, Vai, for your comments on Singapore's policy and the confidential data management system in Singapore. Due to the time limit, if we have any other inquiry from online audience or from Singapore or Korean side, let us have one more inquiry if we have. Okay, it seems like the time limit and the time prolonged of the program. Maybe we can just wrap up the this Q&A session. And if you have any inquiry, please send it to us through our email or chat line, and we will reply to you. Okay, so let us now close our Singapore Korea FinTech webinar today. Thank you all joining us for a long time, and thank you experts from Singapore and Korea. And let's just stay healthy in this COVID era, and let's stay healthy. Okay, the next seminar we will have next week on October 20th with Thailand and October 23rd with Indonesia. Okay, thank you all for joining us for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.